Captain Tom Wilson rubbed his tired eyes as he stared at the navigation screen. The cargo ship Earth's Pride had been hauling mining equipment to the outer colonies for 3 months. His crew of 12 was getting restless, and their old ship was making strange noises again. "Captain," called out his navigator, Lisa Park, "something's wrong with our jump coordinates. The star charts don't match anything in our database." Tom walked over to check the readings. The numbers made no sense. They should have been near the Titan mining station, but instead they were floating in unknown space. Strange ships moved in the distance, unlike anything humanity had ever built. "Those aren't our ships," whispered engineer Mike Stone, pointing at the massive vessels on the scanner. "They're huge. Look at those weapons." The alien ships were 10 times larger than any human vessel. Their hulls gleamed with unknown metals, and energy readings showed power levels that should have been impossible. Yet Tom and his crew watched with calm interest rather than panic. "Well," Tom said, scratching his beard, "looks like we're not in Kansas anymore." Before anyone could respond, a bright light surrounded their ship. The Earth's Pride was being pulled toward the largest alien vessel by some kind of tractor beam. The crew checked their weapons, a few old laser rifles, and some mining charges. "Not much against an alien empire, Captain," Lisa reported. "They're trying to communicate. Audio signal coming through." A deep, mechanical voice filled the bridge. The words were in perfect English, though the accent was strange. "Unknown vessel. You have entered restricted Imperial space. Prepare to be boarded for inspection." Tom activated the COM system. "This is Captain Wilson of the human cargo ship Earth's Pride. We seem to have made a navigation error. We're not looking for trouble." There was a long pause. Then the alien voice returned, sounding confused. "Human? Our records show no species by that designation. State your Imperial registration code." "Don't have one," Tom replied calmly. "Like I said, we're just lost. The aliens seem to process this information." "Impossible. All spacefaring species are registered with the Galactic Empire. You will be brought aboard for questioning." As their ship was pulled into the massive alien vessel, Tom's crew remained surprisingly calm. They had seen strange things during their years in space: solar storms that could melt steel, space pirates with exotic weapons, and planets where the very air could kill you. This was just another Tuesday for them. The docking bay they entered was enormous. Hundreds of alien creatures moved about, loading and unloading cargo. Some looked like giant insects, others like walking trees, and a few resembled nothing Tom had ever imagined. But the crew of the Earth's Pride just watched with mild curiosity. "Look at that one," pointed out mechanic Jake Miller. "It's got 4 arms. Bet that makes fixing engines easier." Security robots surrounded their ship as they powered down. These machines were sleek and deadly looking, with energy weapons that hummed with power. Any normal species would have been terrified. The humans just followed Tom's lead and waited to see what happened next. A group of tall, blue-skinned aliens approached. They wore elaborate uniforms, covered in symbols of rank and authority. Their leader stepped forward, scanning the humans with some kind of device. "I am Commander Vex of the Imperial Security Force," the alien announced. "You claim to be from an unregistered species. This is a serious violation of Imperial law." Tom nodded politely. "Nice to meet you, Commander. Sorry about the mix-up. We're from a planet called Earth. Never heard of your empire before today." Commander Vex looked shocked. His scanning device beeped frantically. "This is impossible. Our empire spans half the galaxy. Every intelligent species has been contacted and registered. How could we have missed an entire world?" "Big galaxy," Tom said with a shrug. "Easy to miss a few spots." The other aliens whispered among themselves in their own language. They seemed very upset about something. Tom could see fear in their large, dark eyes. But he and his crew remained calm, waiting to see what would happen next. "You will come with us," Commander Vex finally said. "The Imperial Council must be informed immediately. This could change everything we thought we knew about the galaxy." As they were led deeper into the alien ship, Tom's crew looked around with the same casual interest they would show when visiting a new space station. They had no idea they were about to turn the entire galactic empire upside down, simply by being themselves. The adventure was just beginning. The interrogation room was designed to intimidate. Dark walls pulsed with red energy, and the air itself seemed to vibrate with hidden threats. Commander Vex sat across from Captain Tom, while two massive guard creatures stood at the door. Their claws could tear through steel, and their eyes glowed with predatory hunger. Tom looked around the room and nodded approvingly. "Nice setup. Reminds me of that mining station near Jupiter. They had mood lighting, too." Commander Vex blinked. In confusion, most species would be trembling by now. The fear-inducing technology in this room had broken the will of countless rebels and criminals. Yet this human seemed genuinely comfortable. "Tell me about your species," Vex demanded, activating a truth detection device. "How many worlds do you control? What is your military strength?" "Just the one world so far," Tom replied honestly. "Earth. As for military strength, well, we've got some ships and weapons. Nothing too fancy. We're mostly busy trying not to kill each other and figuring out how to grow food in space." The truth detector confirmed he was telling the facts. This made Vex even more nervous. A species with only one world should not be able to travel this far into Imperial space. Their technology readings showed the human ship was primitive compared to Imperial standards. "Your vessel's technology is centuries behind ours," Vex stated. "Yet you traveled thousands of light years. How is this possible?" Tom shrugged. "Old ship, but she's reliable. We fix things with spare parts and prayer mostly. Lisa's good with navigation, and Mike can make any engine run on fumes and hope. Meanwhile, in the ship's holding bay, the rest of Tom's crew was being watched by nervous Imperial guards. The humans were supposed to be confined, but they had started helping repair some damaged alien equipment they noticed. "Hey, this power coupling is installed backwards," called out Mike, stone to a confused alien technician. "No wonder your energy flow is unstable." The alien, a six-armed creature named Clicks, watched in amazement as the human quickly fixed a problem that had puzzled Imperial engineers for days. "How did you know this?" "Same principle as our old fusion reactors," Mike explained. "Physics. Is physics, right? Just different parts doing the same job." Lisa Park was studying the alien star charts with genuine interest. "Your mapping system is really detailed," she told the navigation officer, a floating jellyfish-like being. "But you're missing some shortcuts through the asteroid fields. We use those all the time to save fuel." The alien navigator was shocked. Those asteroid fields were considered too dangerous to enter. Imperial doctrine was to go around them, adding weeks to journey times. Back in the interrogation room, Commander Vex was growing more frustrated. The human answered every question directly, but nothing made sense. How could such a primitive species remain so calm in the face of the mighty galactic empire? "Do you understand your situation?" Vex asked desperately. "The empire controls over 10,000 star systems. Our fleets could destroy your entire world with a single command. We have conquered species far more advanced than yours." Tom nodded thoughtfully. "That's impressive. Must take a lot of work to manage all that. We have trouble just keeping track of our few dozen colonies. Are you not afraid?" Vex demanded. "Of what?" Tom asked, genuinely puzzled. "You seem like reasonable folks." "A bit formal, maybe, but I've dealt with worse. There was this pirate leader near the Vega system who kept trying to torture information out of people. Now that guy was really unpleasant. Vex's scanning equipment showed the human stress levels were actually lower than when he had first been captured. Being threatened by the entire Galactic Empire had somehow made him more relaxed. A communication device beeped, and another Imperial officer entered. He whispered urgently in Vex's ear. The commander's blue face went pale. "What is it?" Tom asked politely. "Your crew," Vex said slowly. "They have solved 17 different technical problems that our best engineers could not fix in 2 hours, using tools they made from scrap metal." Tom smiled proudly. "They're good people, best crew I've ever worked with." "But how?" Vex asked. "Your technology is primitive." "Maybe," Tom said. "But when you spend years keeping old equipment running in deep space, you learn to be creative. When your backup systems have backup systems that also need backups, you get pretty good at solving problems." Commander Vex stared at the human captain, beginning to understand that his empire might have encountered something completely unexpected. These humans were not advanced or powerful in the traditional sense. They were something far more dangerous. They were experienced. The Grand Imperial Council Chamber was a sight that had brought emperors to their knees. Floating platforms held representatives from 1,000 different worlds, each more alien and terrifying than the last. Energy beings crackled with power, while mechanical overlords computed strategies for galactic domination. At the center sat High Chancellor Tor, a creature so ancient that entire civilizations had risen and fallen during his reign. Captain Tom and his crew were escorted into the chamber by a full company of Imperial guards. The humans looked around with the same mild interest they had shown everything else, as if they were tourists visiting a museum. "Impressive turnout," Tom whispered to Lisa. "Bigger than the colony council meetings back home." High Chancellor Tor's voice boomed across the chamber, translated instantly into thousands of languages. "We are gathered to address an unprecedented crisis. A species has been discovered that shows no fear of imperial authority." Murmurs of concern rippled through the assembled delegates. In the Empire's long history, fear had been their greatest weapon. Species joined voluntarily rather than face destruction. But these humans seemed completely unbothered by threats. "Bring forth the primitive creatures," Tor commanded. Tom stepped forward calmly. "Captain Tom Wilson, representing humanity. Thanks for having us." The casual greeting sent shock waves through the council. No one spoke to the High Chancellor without elaborate protocols and gestures of submission. Yet this human treated him like an equal. "You stand before the might of the Galactic Empire," Tor declared, his massive form towering above them. "Billions of warriors, weapons that can shatter planets, fleets that darken the skies of entire star systems. Do you comprehend your insignificance?" Tom nodded politely. "Sounds like you've built quite an organization. Must have taken a lot of work to coordinate all this." The council fell silent. They expected begging, pleading, or at least some sign of proper terror. Instead, the human was offering what seemed like genuine professional respect. Delegate Crix, a crystalline being whose species had surrendered after seeing a single Imperial warship, spoke up. "How can you remain calm? Our weapons could eliminate your entire species in moments." "Well," Tom said thoughtfully, "I suppose that's true, but getting upset about it won't change anything. We've all got to go sometime." Engineer Mike Stone raised his hand. "If I may add something, Captain?" Tom nodded. "Go ahead, Mike." "The thing is," Mike addressed the entire council, "we humans have been dealing with extinction-level threats for thousands of years. Ice ages, asteroid impacts, plagues, wars, climate disasters. We're still here because we learned not to panic. When things look bad, Navigator Lisa Park stepped forward. Plus, in space, everything is trying to kill you anyway. Radiation, vacuum, equipment failures, solar flares. We've gotten used to living with constant danger. High Chancellor Tor's ancient mind struggled to process this information. His empire had been built on the principle that superior force would make any species submit. But these humans had grown up in an environment so hostile that the empire's threats seemed almost routine to them. Your world, Tor said slowly. What manner of death world created such beings? Tom smiled. Oh, Earth's actually pretty nice. Lots of green spaces, clean water, decent weather in most places. It's just that space travel is hard, and we've been doing it the difficult way for a while now. Mechanic Jake Miller nodded agreement. Last month we had a reactor meltdown. Life support failed, and we were being chased by pirates. All at the same time. We fixed the reactor with spare parts from the coffee maker, rerouted life support through the waste recycling system, and outran the pirates by dumping our cargo and using the empty containers as decoy targets. And then, added Lisa, we still delivered our shipment on time. The council members looked at each other with growing alarm. These humans spoke of surviving multiple catastrophic failures as if it were normal. They described jury-rigging essential life support systems like it was a routine maintenance task. Commander Vex, who had been standing silently beside the humans, finally spoke. High Chancellor, I have observed these beings for several days. They have no fear because they have already survived everything we might threaten them with. They are not advanced. They are not powerful, but they are. What? Tor demanded. Unbreakable, Vex said quietly. They cannot be intimidated because they have been tested by circumstances far worse than anything we could devise. High Chancellor. Tor stared at the small group of humans, beginning to realize that his empire had encountered something it had never faced before. Not a superior enemy or an advanced civilization, but a species that had been forged by hardship into something beyond the reach of fear. The Empire's greatest weapon was useless against them. High Chancellor Tor decided that if fear would not work, perhaps a demonstration of imperial power would succeed. The humans were taken to the Empire's most impressive military installation, a space station the size of a moon. Weapons capable of destroying stars lined its surface, and the most elite soldiers in the galaxy trained in its halls. Behold the Forge of Dominion, Tor announced as their transport approached the massive station. Here we create the warriors who have conquered the galaxy. Tom looked out the window at the enormous structure. That's a big station. Must cost a fortune to maintain. How do you keep the artificial gravity stable across something that size? The question caught Tor off guard. He had expected awe or terror, not technical curiosity about engineering challenges. General Krex, the station's commander, was a veteran of 1,000 battles. His species, the Vorthic, were known throughout the galaxy as the most dangerous warriors. Alive, standing 8 feet tall with natural armor, plating, and claws like swords, he had never met a foe he could not break. These are the primitive humans? Krex asked, studying Tom's crew. They look weak, soft, no natural weapons, thin skin, small size. Appearances can be deceiving, Commander Vex warned. They have shown unusual capabilities. Krex laughed, a sound like grinding metal. Very well. We will test them against our training scenarios. When they face true Imperial might, their false calm will shatter. The first test was the Fear Chamber, where holographic projections showed the most terrifying sights in the galaxy. Cosmic horrors that drove most beings insane, the dying screams of conquered worlds, visions of personal death and destruction. Tom's crew watched the display with professional interest. Good special effects, Lisa commented. Reminds me of those old horror movies from Earth. The sound system is impressive, added Mike. Very realistic. The technicians running the test checked their equipment twice, certain it had malfunctioned. The fear-inducing technology was operating at maximum power, yet the humans showed no stress response at all. The second test was physical combat against training robots designed to simulate the galaxy's deadliest predators. Each robot was equipped with energy weapons and programmed with the fighting techniques of extinct warrior races. Jake Miller stepped into the combat ring first. The robot activated, moving with lethal speed and precision. But Jake had spent years working in zero gravity, where a single mistake could mean floating away into space forever. His reflexes were sharp from constant danger. He dodged the robots' first attack and grabbed a loose piece of metal from the arena floor. "Sorry about this," he called out to the watching aliens, then jammed the metal into the robot's joint mechanisms. The machine seized up and toppled over. "How did you know that would work?" General Krex demanded. "Same principle as our loading. Mechs back home," Jake explained. "Get debris in the joints and they lock up every time. Basic maintenance issue." The third test was a survival scenario. The humans were dropped into a hostile environment simulation with limited supplies and told to survive for 24 hours. The program was designed to gradually break down their equipment and morale through a series of escalating disasters. Instead, Tom's crew treated it like a camping trip with technical difficulties. When their water recycler broke, Lisa rigged a new one using the heating system and some plastic sheeting. When the shelter collapsed, Mike built a better one from debris. When hostile creatures attacked, Jake scared them off by banging pots together and making loud noises. "This is impossible," General Krex muttered, watching the humans turn every setback into a minor inconvenience. "The survival scenario has broken the will of trained Imperial commandos." "I think I understand now," Commander Vex said quietly. "Look at how they work together. No panic, no blame, no despair. Each problem is just another puzzle to solve." Tom's voice came over the communication system from inside the simulation. "Hey, is this test going to run much longer?" "We fixed most of the problems already, and we're getting kind of bored." High Chancellor Tor, who had been watching from the observation deck, felt something he had not experienced in centuries: doubt. The Empire's military might, its psychological warfare, its advanced technology, none of it seemed to affect these humans at all. "What are you?" he asked, speaking directly to Tom through the comm system. "Just people trying to make a living." Tom replied, "We haul cargo, fix broken things, and try to get home safe. Same as anyone else, I imagine." But Tor was beginning to understand that these humans were not like anyone else. They had been shaped by a harsh universe into something the Empire had never encountered. Beings who could not be broken because they had already been tested beyond the breaking point and survived. The Empire's weapons were useless against enemies who had already faced worse. The final meeting took place in High Chancellor Tor's private chambers, away from the watching eyes of the Imperial Council. The ancient ruler sat across from Captain Tom, his confidence shaken for the first time in millennia. "I must understand," Tor said quietly. "My empire has conquered countless worlds through fear and superior force. Yet you and your crew remain unmoved. What makes humans so different?" Tom poured himself a cup of coffee from a thermos his crew had brought. The simple domestic action somehow made the Cosmic Emperor feel small and insignificant. "I've been thinking about that myself," Tom admitted. "At first, I thought maybe we were just stubborn. But watching your people these past few days, I think I figured it out. Tell me." "Your empire is based on being the biggest, strongest, most advanced civilization around," Tom explained. "When you meet a new species, you show them your massive fleets and planet-killing weapons, and they surrender because they can't match that level of power." Tor nodded. This was indeed how the Empire had grown to control half the galaxy. But here's the thing, Tom continued. Humans didn't become spacefaring because we were the strongest or smartest species on our planet. We did it because we're the most stubborn. I do not understand. Tom smiled. Every other intelligent species on Earth went extinct. The smart ones, the strong ones, the ones with natural weapons and armor. They all died out millions of years ago. You know what humans had? Not much. No claws, no thick hide, not particularly fast or strong. Then how did you survive? We were too stupid to quit, Tom said with a laugh. When the ice ages came, smarter species moved south or died. Humans said this is fine and learned to make fire and build shelters. When the climate changed, other species adapted or vanished. Humans said, we'll make our own climate, and invented agriculture. Tor leaned forward, fascinated despite himself. When we reached the limits of our world's resources, instead of accepting scarcity like a sensible species would, we looked up at the stars and said, there's more stuff up there. Let's go get it. Even though space is a hostile void that wants to kill us in a dozen different ways. Your species chose to enter an environment designed to destroy you. Exactly, Tom grinned. And we've been living in that environment for generations now. Every human who works in space has survived system failures, equipment breakdowns, radiation, exposure, and the constant possibility of death from 1,000 different causes. Commander Vex, who had been listening silently, finally spoke. This explains their reactions. They show no fear of our weapons because they have lived their entire lives surrounded by equally deadly threats. It's more than that, Tom continued. Your empire grew by being the apex predator in a relatively safe galaxy. You're used to being the most dangerous thing around. But humans evolved in a universe that was actively trying to kill us from day one. We're not apex predators. We're persistence hunters. What does that mean? It means we don't have to be faster or stronger than our prey. We just have to keep going longer than they can. We chase them until they collapse from exhaustion. Then we take what we need. The implications of this hit Tor like a physical blow. His empire was built on intimidation and overwhelming force. But these humans couldn't be intimidated because they had survived worse, and they couldn't be overwhelmed because they were used to being outmatched. Your threats don't scare us because we've heard them all before from the universe itself, Tom explained. Solar radiation that will cook you alive? We've dealt with that. Equipment failure that leaves you stranded in space? Tuesday afternoon. Problem. Hostile enemies with superior weapons? Well, space pirates have been trying to kill us for decades. And you survived. We survived. Not because we were lucky or special, but because when faced with impossible odds, humans have one response. Okay, so how do we fix this? High Chancellor Tor sat in stunned silence, finally understanding what his empire faced. Not a superior enemy, not an advanced civilization, but something far more dangerous. A species that could not be broken, because breaking was simply another problem to solve. What do you want from us? Tor asked finally. Tom shrugged. Same thing we wanted when we got lost, directions home. Maybe some trade agreements if you're interested. Your technology could help our colonies, and apparently we're pretty good at fixing things you can't. You would trade with us as equals, even after we threatened your world? Why not? Tom smiled. Everyone makes mistakes. We've certainly made our share. The way I see it, the galaxy's big enough for all of us. And with those words, the Galactic Empire learned that sometimes the most dangerous enemy is one who refuses to be your enemy at all.